Our last speaker is John Ruck. And this is, John is our tall tales person. That's his thing, and we love hearing them. The title of his tall tale is The Polka Dotted Pea. Raise your hands if you like peas. Okay, almost everybody. Good. I like peas. Have you ever eaten a polka dotted pea?
No.
The Polka Dotted Pea is the title of the original tale of our next speaker, John. A tale is not necessarily a lie or fake news, but it could be told to humor, enlighten, and deliver a message. And John's goal is to do just that. So this is an original tall tale about love, prejudice, and the future. Please join me in welcoming John.
My mother was Chinese. My father was Japanese. Their parents hated each other until I was born. Those ancient prejudices between the Japanese and the Chinese melted away when my mother had a big, blue-eyed Caucasian boy. I was a genetic anomaly. Now, when Gregor Mendel crossed his pea plants and became the father of genetics and had all these peas laid out in front of him, he discovered one. Polka dotted pea. And as many scientists have been known to do, he ate it. I was the black sheep. I was the oddball. I was the one that all the kids made fun of. I was a big galoot on the playground. I was lovable, but they didn't love me. My parents, my grandparents, my whole family loved me. But to get me through the pain of this genetic anomaly, they decided we would move. And we lived in some of the greatest cities in the world. We lived in Seoul, South Korea, where the South hated the North. We lived in New Delhi, where the Hindus hated the Muslims. We lived in Cape Town, South Africa, where the blacks hated the whites. We lived in Tel Aviv, where the Palestinians hated the Jews. We lived in Berlin, where the West hated the East. We lived in Dublin, where the Catholics hated the Protestants. We lived in Caracas, Venezuela, where the poor hated the blacks. And we lived in Overland Park, where the Jayhawks hated the Tigers. And everybody hated the Raiders. All along our journey, my parents would try to cultivate our spirit. And they would take us to the whatever local religion, whatever flavor it was. And we went to basilicas and cathedrals and churches of all kinds, mosques and mausoleums. We went to synagogues and temples. The one that I enjoyed the most was always the sanctuary of Mother Nature. And all that time, I would say to my parents, why do people hate each other? My father and mother had one lesson that they told me over and over again. It was a lesson that they learned in one of the churches. The lesson is, in my house, there are many dwelling places. And they would explain to me that the house is your mind, and the dwelling places are your subminds. So whenever you find yourself in a hateful place where there is prejudice, you take a deep breath, recognize this dark, dank room in your basement, you walk out, you close the door, and you head for a higher room. You deserve better quarters. I want to tell you one thing that I didn't tell you to start this story. Today is February 9th, 2052. I will be 100 years old this year. About 10 years ago, Elon Musk got his group together and they took off for Mars. We never heard from them again. And about 5 years ago, the Martians showed up. Well, they're a very powerful people, if you want to call them people. Very powerful and very peaceful. First thing they did was they removed all the warring tribes on Earth. All gone. Very peaceful around here now. They don't speak. They're telepathic. I invited them to TGIF. Several of them came, they just listen. I'm trying to learn to speak their language. Hopefully I can by the time I become a super centenarian like my parents. But imagine. No prejudice now. No hate. Peace. Imagine. Thank you, Walt Toastman.